The air, the land, the water, our environment. We all depend on it for our very existence. And every day we hear stories that remind us just how fragile this earth we live on really is. Stories about air and water pollution, stories about contamination of the land, disturbing stories that no one likes to hear. There is some good news, though. You see, those problems don't have to happen. We, yes, you and I, can help prevent them simply by taking time to stop for our environment. Beginning right now, each of us needs to do our part to develop our environmental awareness and take responsibility for creating a cleaner, healthier world. By the end of this program, we think that you'll be looking at the environment in a new way, a way that will help you take responsibility for protecting the earth and everything on it. Let's begin by looking at some of the things that might be happening right around you, things you might not have noticed before. We're going to head over to a printing plant on the other side of town, where Kelly Weaver is on her way to a meeting. Here comes team leader Dan Williams.
I see you're rushing too.
Yeah, I'm late for a safety audit. Hope it stays nice for the game tonight.
Oh, yeah. Wow, what a mess. Hope someone's taking care of that.
It's more than just a mess. That liquid going down the drain can contaminate the surface water. But Kelly and Dan were in too much of a rush to think about that. In short, they weren't demonstrating environmental awareness. Let's go to a manufacturing facility where Stan Jackson is taking gas samples and Al Brightman is passing by.
Hi, Stan.
Hey, Al.
Hey, what are you doing there? That stuff smells awful.
I gotta vent the system, right? It just goes into the air. No big deal.
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, did you see that game last night?
Boy, did I. I couldn't believe it. What a play that night.
There's a procedure for taking samples the right way, but Stan and Al don't seem to be following it. Meanwhile, the air is being polluted. A regulation might be violated, and they might have endangered themselves. It didn't have to happen if Stan and Al had shown some environmental awareness. Now, let's go inside the lab at this facility. Dave Johnson and Trish Riley are cleaning up from this morning's experiments.
Trish, what should I do with these? Just pour them down the drain?
I don't know, Dave. I'm late. I've got to get to a meeting.
Got to get to that meeting, too. I'm just going to dump them. All ends up in the same place anyway.
Trish and Dave know these drains are connected to the sewers, and that there are some things that can't be poured down the drains. What they didn't do was think before they dumped the waste. Does it matter? Well, since even small amounts of some material can contaminate a lot of water, it could matter very much. In fact, it could upset the treatment of the wastewater at the sewer plant. That's why there are restrictions on what goes into these drains. But restrictions don't do much good if employees like Trish and Dave don't take the time to follow them. Now, just over here is Joe Cleary. Joe's a maintenance employee who takes pride in keeping the site clean for everyone. He's talking to Bill Davis.
In a minute, Bill.
What are you going to do with that stuff?
Oh, I just dump it out behind the tracks here. Keeps the weeds down. No one goes out there anyhow.
Sweeping it under the rug, right?
You got that right.
Joe may think that he's solving a problem, but the fact is he's contaminating the land and possibly the groundwater too. And Bill, well, let's just say Bill has a way to go in making the environment a priority. Scenes like the ones you just saw are all too common. It's the things each of us do every day, things we don't think about, that can add up to big trouble for the environment. How can we change that? By developing our environmental awareness, becoming alert to what we're doing and what's going on around us that could affect the air, land, or water. In this program, you're going to learn how to stop for our environment using simple tools and techniques that will help you contribute to a cleaner, healthier world for all of us, for you, for others, and for the generations to follow. You've started seeing things in a new way, thinking about the environment, about what you're doing, and what's going on around you that could affect this world we live in. You're beginning to see how important it is to stop for our environment, to make the world a cleaner, healthier place for everyone. But what exactly do we mean by the environment? The word suggests different things to different people. Everything from the earth and all that's in it, to the social environment created by a plant or facility inside a community. In this program, though, we're going to use the word in a specific way to mean the air we breathe, both in and out of doors, the land, including the groundwater under it, and finally, the water we use for so many things. Air, land, and water. These are the areas you'll be concerned with as you develop your environmental awareness. Let's look at some important aspects of air, land, and water right now. You know that the air is all around us, vital to life. So it makes sense that the quality of air is important to us. You can see how things like smog and dust affect the air. They're visible signs of pollution. But you can't see invisible pollutants like carbon monoxide and other hazardous gases, even though they impact the air too. Installing catalytic converters on cars and putting scrubbers on stacks of factories are just some of the ways we control pollution of the air outdoors. We've also realized that the air inside our buildings needs our attention. People have started to question the effects of breathing things like secondhand smoke. In addition, many other things can affect the air we breathe inside. So you'll want to consider indoor air as an aspect of the environment too. Next, let's take a look at the land. When you picture the land, you may see the soil that gives us the food we eat, or the plants and trees that grow from the earth. The land, which includes the groundwater under it, nourishes us by supplying the vegetation we need to live. Obvious things that affect the land are improper dumping or spills of hazardous substances. But our everyday actions can affect the land too, like pouring used motor oil or other hazardous substances on the ground. Putting even small amounts of some materials on the ground can harm the land or soak into the groundwater. That's why every one of us needs to develop environmental awareness in ourselves and others. Next, the water. Oh, there's plenty of water, right? It covers most of the earth. Well, yes and no. You see, even though most of the earth is covered by water, only a small part of that is usable fresh water from lakes, streams, ponds, and rivers. Think how often you use fresh water for drinking or cooking, bathing, cleaning. Without clean, fresh water, people just can't survive. Of course, dumping wastes or raw sewage into surface water is an obvious way to contaminate the water supply. But other less obvious things can also affect our water. Remember Trish and Dave? Yes, even this small amount of material can affect the water, depending upon what the material is and where it goes. What's that? Did someone say Trish and Dave aren't really responsible because they just didn't think about what could or couldn't go into that drain? Well, a principle of this program is that we're all responsible for the environment. Protecting the air, land, and water is everyone's responsibility. Now, how about a method that gives you a step-by-step approach to meeting that responsibility? A method that helps you stop for our environment. Your basic tool is the Environmental Awareness Cycle. It has 5 steps that help you put your commitment to the environment into practice. Decide, stop, observe, think, and act. Let's see this in action. Remember Stan